We all have fear in our life. We face it on a daily basis, almost an hourly basis many times. And so how can you actually remove fear from your life? How can you stop being afraid and start making steps to overcome those efforts that you've been wanting to accomplish? We're going to talk about that this week on episode 124 of the Relaxed Male. Hello and welcome to Relaxed Male, podcast that helps men change their relationship with themselves. I am your host, Brian, and I am a men's life and mindset coach who is here to help you understand that you don't have to suffer at your own expense. You can live your dream, and I encourage you to set, then pursue your goals. So join me as I change the mindset and attitudes of men so that they can be the leaders of their families and their destinies. Hey man, hello and welcome to Relaxed Male. All right, so this week we're talking about, before we move into that, I wanted to jump in real quick and just say hello and welcome to all the new listeners we get, and we are growing tremendously. We've had several people who have gone through and downloaded the whole back catalog, which is just mind-boggling and kind of sad if you listen to those first few episodes, because I know those first few episodes are really kind of rough, as all podcasts first episodes are, because you're still finding your voice. But you went back and you listened, and I'm assuming that you have gathered and gained and garnered and any other type of G word that means to assemble information that helps you to become a better man, a more solid man, and be able to become the leader that your family, your community needs, and how you're becoming more confident on how to get rid of the nice guy in your life. If you're tired of being let down by other people, you're tired of wondering why you're not getting enough sex in the bedroom, you're just tired of just being frustrated and angry and things like that, that nice guy is the root of all your problems. And the moment you can get him kicked out of your life, and you can start living life on your terms, you start finding that so much more there's so much more to life, so much more enjoyment, so much more love that is gathered and generated within your family when you start living life on purpose, start living life with a sense of direction, and you're not just being this weak, wishy-washy little nice guy, because they just don't earn respect. There's no way to earn respect when you are a nice guy. And so one of the things that happens when you are removing the nice guy from your life is you start getting really fearful. It's like, oh my gosh, what are people going to think? Well, that's kind of root as to why episode 123 is what it is on removing the fear, because that is one of the big things that keeps the nice guy playing small. He is afraid of other people having emotions, afraid of him getting emotional, and all the fear that accumulates, which if you step back and you look at it, you're like, well, there's nothing really to be afraid of. And even the obstacles that you come across as you try to, say, build a business or try to make a change in your family, where you start developing the connections with your wife that you've been wanting to have and trying to figure out why she's so distant, that becomes a lot more evident as you continue to grow and develop and mature. And as you start living your life on your terms, start living life with purpose. What is fear? Fear is just the unknown. It is if you could look at all the emotions that a person has, they're kind of nestled down. There are like 3-4 primary emotions. There's love, there's fear, there's anger, which is actually kind of more fear. There's love and fear. I guess if you were to boil it all the way down, there's just two sides. There's love and then there's fear. Love is actually the opposite of fear, and fear is actually the opposite of love. If you're fearful, you're going to destroy the things that you love. And if you love stuff, you can't be afraid of it. You're going to build stuff up. You're going to create a lot more. So that's why fear is such a problem because you get your anger, your jealousies, your resentments, all that because you're afraid to live your life. You're afraid to take the steps that are needed for you to become the greatest man that you can be for your family and friends and community. But how do you get past that fear? Well, it's not the easiest because fear is built deep down inside of us. That is our brain is a keep us alive device. Essentially, that's its primary purpose is to keep us alive. Oh, are we hungry? Well, let's go get something to eat. If we do we have anything close by? No. Oh. Well, it means we have to go. Further away from the cave we have to get. There's a lot more danger. The chances of having some cave bear come along and eat you. And, there's a sense of uncertainty and unknown that happens when you venture further and further away from what your comfort zone is, which is right there inside your cave, sitting on top of your rock couch, watching your rock Netflix. But to get past that fear, there is a neat little aspect that bridges fear over into love. And it's a one-way bridge in all reality. And that one-way bridge is curiosity. If you can get curious about whatever it is you fear, you actually will start to develop more of a understanding, which allows for the love of what you're wanting to do. For me, for instance, I struggle real hard finding my clients, calling them up, setting up times to give them a call. Why? Because I don't want to be told no. No is a rejection. Rejection is meaning that I'm going to get kicked out of the tribe. I get kicked out of the tribe. I'm going to not have protection that I need. And if I don't have that protection that I need, I'm going to die. You kind of see how that progression, whether it makes sense or not, happens. We have our amygdala, our little primitive monkey brain, part of our brain, comes up with these unreal stories just to make sure that we stay on edge and we don't venture out too far because, we might get eaten by a pterodactyl or a T-Rex that is stomping around somewhere. Who knows? Maybe, Jurassic Park actually happened. But if you get curious, you can actually start slowing your brain down and you can start actually looking at the little bitty aspects and little bitty details of everything that's going on. I can look at using the model to actually look and see what my thoughts are and really get curious about what those thoughts are. So I can actually have my model laid out to where, say, I'm going to make, or no, see here, say the model is calling up clients. I'm going to call clients. Well, the thought behind that circumstance is, what if I get told no? How do I come up? I've come up with all these different questions. And if I answer those questions, those become the thoughts that I'm actually doing. So like, what if they say no? The thought is actually, they're going to say no. How do I know? I don't, honestly. There's no way to be able to tell whether they're going to say no or they're not going to say no, but they're going to, my mind wants to say they're going to say no. For saying no, I'm having a sense of, you can almost call it nervousness, avoidance. And with that means that I am not making those phone calls, which causes me to not get the clients that I want to get. I want to be able to have just on ramp, not even paying clients right now. I just want to get some people to come in and just start talking to them. And that's a struggle in itself. Amazingly, it's like there should be no pressure with, I'm not even putting money on the table or the money being a topic on the table. I'm just going, hey, want to have some coaching? And because I am struggling to do that, I am really having an issue on actually making the phone calls. And it's not that hard to make the phone calls. I've done it before. I do it a couple times a week. And a lot of times, no, I get a no. And then there's that one. Yeah, sure. Oh, we'll do it. So a lot of people are really experimental in that they're like, okay, yeah, I'll be your guinea pig and let's try out this coaching thing. Let's let you practice your coaching. Why am I so afraid? Well, like I said, I can write down all the reasons as to why I'm afraid. What that apprehension is that I'm feeling on why I need to call somebody. That apprehension can be that, I've been told no before. I've been told that nobody cares. I've been told these things before. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. These are thoughts and things that I've been told way back whenever I was just a little kid. It's not even things that have been happening recently. These are things that I've been told way back whenever I was really developing my sense of self in junior high and high school. And because of that, we develop, this is where we get our thought patterns and where we think our limitations are. And those limitations are put on by us. They're not, and those limitations are to protect us from doing something that is scary, something that will cause fear in our life. But if you get around to actually asking questions and looking and getting truly curious, even if it's somebody who you don't like, say you've got somebody who is you're just scared to death to talk to. Well, why are you scared to death to talk to them? Why are you scared? What is it about them that has scared you? What is it about, what story have you been told? You can look at all the little nitpicking, aspects and questions that you could possibly ask about that, whatever that particular circumstance is. And you really start to develop an understanding as to why you're afraid. And you can then start making the changes to your thought patterns as to why that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, you're going to fall back onto the old habits. You're going to fall back onto those old thought patterns because they're habit. Our brain works as a means to make sure that it doesn't produce or burn up as much energy as it can. So it goes as low energy mode as often as it can. And when you're in low energy mode, you're using I think it's called the hippocampus, your habit center of the brain. And it doesn't use much energy. It's like, okay, well, I know how to get to work. You go 4 miles down, take a left, go to Main Street, take a right, go down to Carter Street, take another, right. And right there, 2 blocks down, right there's work. All right. So, and that's one reason why we can drive a lot of times to work. And when we get there and we put it in park, we're like going, I don't remember a single turn on that trip. That happens simply because we're not, our hippocampus, our habit center is kicked in. That's why if you're trying to quit smoking or trying to change a habit and start exercising more often, making little changes that are involved in what your normal daily routine is a lot easier because you can sneak those new habits in and start getting those worked into the process. So your hippocampus doesn't have to think quite so much. And your prefrontal cortex, actually, which uses the most energy, doesn't have to think all that much. It's just very quickly all right, passing it down to the habit center. Habit center takes care of it. And if the habit center has control of it, the monkey brain's going, all right, well, this isn't anything old or anything new. We've done this 100 times. So we're good. So you can replace any type of fear that you have. Are you afraid of walking into, the quote unquote bad side of town? Well, why? I don't know anybody. They're not going to like me. I might be the wrong color or whatever. Well, get curious about that. Are you sure about that? Have you tried it? Have you been down there before? And last time you were down there, was it okay? Was it not okay? Why were you down there? Were you, going to go talk to an old friend, try to help somebody? There's a reason why we were there. We can look at and we can pull out the little bitty truths that are in the stories that we are telling ourselves. And then those little bitty truths, which are typically just the circumstances, we can take the opinions of what that event was and set it off to the side and throw them, just park them in a corner and go, yeah, okay, those are thoughts. We're not dealing with those right now. We're dealing with the facts. We're dealing with what is true. And we can actually start to learn how to get curious. This is how, if you're having a problem connecting with your wife, great thing to do. Sit down, start asking questions. She's having a hard time with her day. She came home from work and she is just, frazzled and she's wanting to vent. Well, don't try to fix it. Just ask questions as she's talking. You're trying to have a connection. You do so by asking, getting curious about her day. well, why is it that Betty does this? Why is it that your boss appears angry at you? Is he actually really angry at you? You can start to really ask those questions. You can start to just ask the questions. You don't have to pose any solution, because honestly, most of the time when women are wanting to talk to us, they're just wanting to verbally think. They're wanting to think out loud, and it feels weird. Now, granted, I'm talking to nobody in a microphone, but I'm used to talking to myself all the time. So it gets easy if you're one of those who can talk to themselves with no problem. But a lot of people struggle with that. All of a sudden they're like, well, who am I supposed to be talking to? If I'm talking to myself, that's weird. That's bizarre. Guys with white coats and butterfly nets are going to start knocking on my door at wanting to drag me off to the booby hatch. But if you start asking your wife questions and giving her, when you ask those questions, you're going to start building a connection. If you're wanting to have a chance to build a strong connection with your teenager, boy or girl, this works the same. Just be around them. Just be there with them. And as they are used to you suddenly starting to be around a lot more, and maybe you ask questions, maybe they like to play games on the PlayStation, and you start kind of asking, it's like, okay, so why did you do it do it that way? Why did you just go gung ho into the group shooting and stuff instead of sitting back and just picking them off one by one? You can start to ask the different questions to get their point of view and their line of thinking on it. And when you start asking those questions, that gives them the connection and the assurity that you're not judging them. You're not posing any type of, intellectual threat to them. You're just curious about what it is that they're doing. And as that connection builds up, and you're applying and paying out or adding more social capital to your bank account for your son, eventually your son's going to go, hey, Dad, got a question for you. And as long as you don't blow up and you don't overdraw the account, you can have a good conversation with them by asking more questions, staying curious. And if you can stay curious about whatever's going on around you, you're not going to be nearly afraid of what's going on. If you can get in the habit of being curious all the time, even when the world is losing their freaking mind, you could stand there and go, well, how is that making sense to y'all? How is spending, let's use the U.S. government spending insane amounts of money. How is it making sense that if we put more money out into the market, that the value of the dollar is not going to fall? And you can start to ask, and you can start to see, and you can start to come to understand that, maybe there is some leadership issues. A lot of people are really starting to ask these types of questions, saying the prices of gas going up because we don't have gas. Our gas production has been cut down. The gas companies can't get money because of ESG scores and things like that. And so, as we keep asking our questions, we can come to find more knowledge. The more knowledge we have, the more ability we have to build the love and connections and friendships that we can have, that we want. With that love, that connection that develops into joy and develops into bonds and develops into friendships. And those friendships develop into, your band of brothers. And you do that strictly by getting curious. So guys, with that, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to wrap this up. If you found anything in here that was interesting or insightful or got you to thinking of somebody else, take this episode and any podcast platform you're using. If you hit that share button, you can share it out onto Facebook, not YouTube, but Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can share that out. If you take a screenshot, you can share it onto Instagram. But you can share it on to whatever social media site you actually you're on and active, and you've got a good following. You can share it out send it as a text message over to a friend who you think would really benefit from having that. I do this all the time with my kids. I'll come across a podcast. I was like, hey, that's one guy talked about real estate tactics. Oh, I know my son's going to like that. Talking about how to navigate becoming a new manager. Well, my daughter would like that, where I can sit there and I can share those. I share a lot of podcasts out with them. I'm sure I don't know if they listen to them at all, but at the same time, it lets them know that I'm thinking of them, and there's a little nugget of information in there that would really help them. And if your friend does, he'll, wants to know more about it, send them over to Relaxed Male. And so with guys, I want to thank you. If you you have a question, need a question answered, have a particular issue, you can reach out and contact me by going to relaxedmale.com/contact. There you can actually, fill out a message, or you can just shoot me an email at Brian with a Y at relaxedmale.com. And I will answer that question for you as quick as I can. And so guys, with that, I want to thank you all a lot. Get curious about what's happening around you. Why are you hitting those walls? What is it about those walls that are troublesome for you? And as you ask, and as you keep asking, as you keep coming to understanding, you'll become stronger. You become a better leader by doing so, guys. So with that, thanks a lot for listening. We'll see y'all next week. Bye.